how do you increase pricing in your cleaning business? So this is one of the most common questions I get from other cleaning business owners. They realize that putting price rises is important because ultimately by not doing that, you leave money on the table. We need to generate enough profit in our business to reinvest and grow, as well as to pay us as the business owner. So in today's video, I'm going to take you through firstly why price rises and regular price rises are so important in your business, looking at the financial impact. And then secondly, we want to talk about exactly how to implement it. And I'll run through exactly the strategy that we use in our business today. So first of all, why are price rises so important? I mean, there is obviously a very simple answer here. We increase prices so we can generate more revenue from the client, and then ultimately this trickles down to generate more profit in the business. But really, as we dig down into that reason a bit more, what we find is that a smaller percentage increase in the prices at the very top, at the top line of your business, in other words, at your revenue level, has a far more magnified impact on what's called the bottom line, your profit. So as an example, let's say you have a cleaning that is $100. You price it at $100. You pay 50% of the revenue to your cleaning staff to do the job, do the cleaning. So, $50 goes away. And then let's say around $30 of that 100 goes on other, admin costs. So it could be marketing, it could be recruitment, it could be a VA or the software, things like that. And then ultimately what that leaves us is $20 profit. So $100 at the top, $50 goes away for your cleaning staff payment, $30 for your admin costs, and that leaves there $20. So that would be $20 on $100, which is a 20% profit margin. So that's, what would be typical, what I would expect. But if we now compare what those financials look like, if we increase our prices 10%, so rather than getting $100, we get 10% more, so $110. We pay our cleaners the same, it's the same cleaner pay rate, so $50 goes out to your cleaners. The operating costs or the admin costs, what you spend on marketing and recruitment and your office manager, what would be termed as your fixed costs, stays the same as well, that's 30. What you find is that 110 minus the 50 for the cleaner pay, minus 30 for the admin costs would leave us now with $30. So the first example at $100 gives us $20 profit. In the second example with the 10% price rise, we get $110 for your revenue. That gives us $30. So a 10% increase in our pricing has actually driven a 50% increase in our profit, going from $20 to $30. So what you can see is that we get a magnified benefit on our profit margin by putting through these price rises. So this is why price rises and putting regular price rises in your business is so important, because we're leaving a huge amount of money on the table, far more than many people would expect in terms of profit. So we need to be doing this regularly and at least annually to make sure that the business is generating enough money so we can reinvest, grow, and importantly pay ourselves as the business owners. So secondly, let's have a look, with this in mind, let's figure out what the best approach is with regards to price rises. So again, a very common thing that I see with business owners is that they will put through price rises, in a relatively ad hoc way. They might leave prices the same for a few years. They don't want to, upset clients. They don't want to risk losing clients. So they end up, maybe spending a few years where there aren't any price rises in their business. But clients expect price rises from the companies that they use. If you think about all the services and the companies you use, you would expect to see an annual price rise. So if you're not doing that at least annually, you're leaving money on the table. So first of all, we need to start getting into that process of thinking about putting in an annual price rise. And an additional point here is that by not putting through annual price rises, that can actually be more risky, because when we eventually have to put through the price rise, what clients will see is a far bigger jump in prices rather than the incremental jumps annually. So let's say, to keep the maths really simple, inflation is 5% a year. If we are waiting for a few years before we put the price rises through for our clients, 3 times 5%, 15%, we would then go to that client and say, okay, we are putting our prices up 15% because we haven't put price rises through for 3 years. That is perfectly fine, perfectly understandable, but a 15% price increase is going to be far harder for a client to manage rather than a 5%. So think about doing it annually. The next point the next question that I then get asked is, okay, we understand, annual price rises are something that we need to implement. Okay, when do we do it? And, a mistake that I see many business owners make is that they will put through price rises in January every year, maybe January the 1st every year. And, I can see the reasons for doing that. New year, new pricing. But if you ask yourself the question, when are clients finding most budget constrained? Most people will say it'll be after holiday season, after Christmas, New Year, in January. So by putting through a price rise in January, you're almost giving the client an excuse, a good reason to cancel service with you there and then. So if you're going to put price rises through for all your existing clients every year, please avoid January. Far better for it to be in, say, the summer or even the spring or the autumn. Ideally, you would actually do it during spring and autumn because these tend to be busier times. If you get a client cancellation because there's more demand for your services, you're probably going to be able to replace any cancellations far more easily. But the big point for me is don't put them through on January, even though it seems like a simple thing to do, because you will get more cancellations if you do it in that way. So the next point is saying, okay, I sign up to that, we're not going to do it in January. There is an alternative way to do it. And this is the way that we put price rises through in our business. And we do it in a staggered way. So we put a price rise through every year, but starting from the date that the client signed up with service. So let's say the client signed up with us, February the 13th, 2024. We would contact them, ahead of, their annual anniversary. So it'd be February 13th, 2025. So maybe a few weeks before to say, we're going to be putting a price rise through as of this date. And the reason we do that is by doing it in this way, we reduce the impact of any client cancellations. So let's say we put price rises through for all our clients on a specific date every year. So say we've got 100 recurring clients on July the 1st, every year we put through the price rise. The potential problem with that is that you will get hit with a number of cancellations. You don't know whether it's going to be a handful or many more, but importantly, all those cancellations will come in a very, very short amount of time. So you could quite easily see some of your cleaners having quite empty calendars because you obviously need to replace those cancelled clients with new clients, but you're not being given very much notice. So it will be hard to instantly replace all those clients, very, very quickly. Whereas if you use a staggered approach like we do, even if our, say, February 13th client cancels, that's just one client cancellation. We're onboarding clients throughout the year. So we mitigate the risk of having lots and lots of cancellations very quickly. So it's far easier to manage the demand and supply, far easier to bring in a new client, far more likely that we can bring in a new client to replace any cancelled ones. So we do annual price rises, but we do it on a staggered basis where we look at the sign up date of that particular client. And it's something that we've done for a number of years. It works really well. So it'd be something else for you guys to think about as well. So the final point I wanted to make was just an interesting hack that we use in our business regarding high maintenance clients. So we use these price rises as a really great way to manage out these high maintenance clients in our business. So those of you that have been in business for a certain amount of time will know that not every client is exactly the same. We get one group of clients that are super easy to manage, super happy. We never hear from them. They refer all their friends and family. They're super, happy with our services. We obviously love clients like that. If we could just fill our company with those clients, it would make managing the whole thing far easier. But in reality, we'll get a mix. We'll obviously get a mix of high maintenance clients as well. And we know what a high maintenance client looks like. A high maintenance client is someone that never seems perfectly happy with what you're providing. They are, probably contacting you quite regularly after cleanings to tell you about things that you missed. Maybe they are contacting you ahead of future cleanings, asking for certain things to be added in, sending you lengthy emails or calling you regularly, and basically just taking a lot of your time and, at the end of the day, not being particularly happy even with that additional time that you're managing that particular client. So we can use price rises as a great way to manage these clients. So when you come across a high maintenance client, and I know this from first hand because it's happened many, many times, you may get to the point where you say, I don't care how much money, this client is paying, we don't want this client, they're an absolute pain. And if you get to that position, then what you can do is use a price increase to either get them out of your business, but more interestingly, in the way that we do it is that, usually every single client has their own price. A high maintenance client, if they were being charged 50% of what you're doing now, then many people would say, okay, we're making 50% more profit from this client. Okay, we're going to manage their, who are happy or willing to manage their higher maintenance nature because we're charging them a higher price. So the way that we do it is for every single high maintenance client that we have, we'll think about, okay, at this pricing level, it's not working. But if we were to raise their prices to whatever price that would be, what would be the price that you would be happy to continue to service this client because they're making more money? And, if you identify that price, you can then go to the client and say, we're putting in price rises through our business. If they say yes, well, you've got a much more profitable client. But on the other side, it's also a win-win because they may decide that price rise is too high and then they will cancel and leave your business. And at the same time, it means that, the time you spent managing that client has been and gone as well. Because again, from experience, when you are dealing with these higher maintenance clients and you're trying, and as I talk about a lot on my channel, we generally don't want to be servicing these high maintenance clients. They take our time, they're not particularly happy. But the issue is if you tell them, we're not going to service you anymore, you're always complaining, you're giving them a really good excuse and a high likelihood that they'll leave you a bad review. And that is going to be far more damaging to your business. So if they do decide to leave or you're trying to initiate them to leave, it's far better that you ease them out without any reason to give you a bad review. I mean, they might say, they might leave a bad review anyway and say the price rise was unacceptable. But if you tell them, the costs in the business have gone up, prices are going to have to go to this level. If they say, okay, can't do it, then they're far more likely to exit your business, without creating too much of a fuss. So this is a really great hack that we use in our business. We're always looking at our client list, and you'll know that, the 80-20 rule applies really well here. 20% of your clients will probably be higher maintenance. They will suck up maybe 80% of your time or your VA's time managing those clients. So we're always looking at ways how we can be more efficient with these clients. So using these price rises for this group of clients can work really, really, really well. So price rises are super important, but you will probably get some client cancellations. And the strategy that I talked about today can only work if your marketing is fully dialed in. So you need to make sure that your marketing efforts are consistently bringing in new leads and new clients, because if you do get a client cancellation, you want to be in a position where you can fill that cancellation with a new higher paying client very quickly. If your marketing isn't working and you're getting cancellations, then you're just going to get hit with lower revenue and lower profit. So marketing is really important. You need for it to be working well. And, in my view, the best way to go about finding clients is on Google. In this next video, I'm going to take you through something I call the Google domination strategy. It's about managing advertising on Google Ads and Google LSA and SEO. It's the strategy that we use in our cleaning business today, as well as, with lots of other cleaning clients, cleaning business owners that I work with as well. So I hope you found this video helpful today, and I'll see you on the next one.